Well, hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the very first episode of a long-awaited stream for me, featuring Head Coach '09 for PlayStation 3, a classic game that we'll talk a little bit about the history of here in just a second. But I'm Mike Lowe, simsportsgaming.com. Hopefully everything sounds and looks okay. There's no audio in the game just yet until we hit the start button there, but we will be doing that momentarily here. So again, you can check us out at simsportsgaming.com. We are a website that features a lot of things like this, right? Just kind of franchise mode, a lot of classic different things. Last night we were streaming some NCAA football. And yeah, it's a collection of leagues too. So we have anything from Madden 20 leagues all the way down to like front office football, out of the park baseball leagues, bowl bound college football leagues, just different tech sims and of course console games too. So check us out there. Normally this is an MLB The Show stream time, but I wanted to kind of switch things up with the NFL draft being tomorrow. I thought this would be a really cool night to start this next series here that will kind of work in conjunction, at least for a little while, with MLB The Show streamings that are happening. And again, I'm not sure I'll do that the entire season, stream the entire season of mine, but just kind of bouncing around some different games. So part of my little quarantine exercise has been trying to get the Elgato system set up, which is to allow you to stream PS3. And yeah, got everything rigged up here pretty nicely. And again, it's working well. We did a test last night, and it seems to be doing a pretty good job. So, but yeah, we're going to be talking about NFL head coach. You can see kind of the little intro video that's going on there. And I'm just pulling up a couple different things here before we get started. But again, I hope that everyone's having a good night and can hear me okay and everything. And yeah, excited to get going. So just give me 1 second here. Okay, so, hey John, I just added you as a moderator, and I think Ryan's going to be here too, so a couple moderators. I appreciate you guys helping out with that. As far as moderation, if you do have questions, my goal is to, there's a couple goals with this series, right? I want it to be community driven. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll be making kind of the final calls, but I definitely want you guys to have some input and to be able to discuss some of the things that you'd like to see here, including even really the team we start with. We're starting fresh here, and I'll talk about that here in a second. There's another option we could do, but I think you guys are probably going to want to start fresh. But we are, again, it's going to be community-based, but if you do have questions, I want to make sure I try and get to those, or if you have input. So for the two guys who are helping me moderate today, John and Ryan, there's probably two categories I would say for moderation. Again, one, I think just maybe general questions, maybe about the game, NFL draft, things like that. I'm going to try to stay away from chatting too much about MLB The Show, just to kind of keep this stream focused on this particular game and just the NFL. And then I think with that, again, just kind of like team input sort of things, right? Just decision-making things of we probably don't need to be like running polls on every single decision, but just little things like that can hopefully help us all get through this. So this is a slow game, and I plan to get through this series kind of slow. Like for instance, today maybe we'll get to the start of free agency. We're not going to probably get to the draft today unless we really go crazy, but there's a lot to do. Just a little bit of background. This is a game, it came out originally with the anniversary edition of Madden back in 2008. I think it was the 20 or 25th year for Madden. And it came as a complimentary disc. And even some way further back history with EA Sports and kind of games like this is, if any of you are familiar with the front office football game, and I hope I'm accurate with the story I'm about to tell, but front office football is still an active game. It's a company that was recently, I guess, acquired or teamed up with Out of the Park Developments, who makes franchise hockey manager and Out of the Park baseball and some other games. And they are teaming up to release the next edition of Front Office Football, Front Office Football 9 or Front Office Football Next. I forget what it's going to be called, but Front Office Football is a classic game, so much so that Front Office Football 2 was actually published by Electronic Arts, and the story goes, it seemed that this was something that Electronic Arts was looking seriously into expanding. The creator of Front Office Football, his name is Jim Gindren. He's kind of a legend in the tech sim world, and again, he's still working hard here. He's again teamed up with Out of the Park Developments now for the latest edition of Front Office Football, which I would guess it's probably going to be out this fall. Again, that's a complete guess. No one knows. No one's talked about it. But I would imagine they want to try and time that up here at the start of the season. But that game is always a classic. So anyway, they ended up parting ways simply, or they didn't renew the relationship or something like that, just because I think, I think a solo person kind of working on their tech sim and Electronic Arts probably don't see eye to eye in every little business decision. And so they kind of parted ways. And down the road, a few years later, we ended up seeing a game that was just called NFL Head Coach. And this game came out in, I think, 2006, maybe 2005. So about 4 or 5 years after Front Office Football 2. And this was the game, in my opinion, again, I have no confirmation of this, but I think this is what Front Office Football was going to be turned into. So it would probably have looked something like this. It would have probably morphed into something a little bit more graphically enticing than this, because if Front Office Football does have a downfall, it's kind of an ugly game, but it is a fantastic simulator. So really excited to see what Out of the Park does with it. But so again, that kind of leads us into the second version here, which is Head Coach 09, that came out with, I guess, Madden 09 that year, which was in 2008. And then later it was a standalone release. Really, really classic game. I repurchased it myself off of, I think I got this on eBay, actually, with everything being shut down. I got a copy on eBay. I think it was about 17 bucks or so, got it shipped to me. And that included shipping. I've had a PS3 again for about a year or so. I purchased one about last year to get into a new NCAA Dynasty League online, and that's been really cool. And getting the ability to stream the PlayStation 3 is an animal in and of itself. It is not an easy setup, but I finally got it going, and took a couple of I guess investment pieces to kind of get it up and running. But yeah, it's going well, and I got a little microphone here that's hopefully giving me a little bit better audio, because my PlayStation 4 headphones are doing a great job at the audio. So, but that's where we're at. So repurchase this game. It's a classic stream. I mean, you're not going to be blown away by all the visuals in this game, but I will guarantee you this: you will be blown away at what this game does as far as a franchise standpoint. And it'll probably frustrate you a lot with Madden. Even a game like over this weekend, again, just not a lot to do here at the quarantine, I fired up NFL 2K5, again, considered one of the best, if not the best, football game ever made. And I still think this game is better. NFL 2K5, you can obviously play it, whereas this game, you just kind of coach it. But this game's got a far deeper franchise mode. Like, I think NFL 2K's franchise mode, it's not really good. It's not, I mean, I should say the franchise mode's good. The off-season isn't that good. The franchise mode itself is really solid. I mean, the halftime updates and all that stuff are great. But the off-season, like, even when you enter the draft, it just sort of jumps you in, and it doesn't even, like, show you who's picked. If you pick, like, 18th in the draft, it just, as soon as you click Start Draft, wham, it just jumps to pick 18, and there you go. You have no idea who was picked before you. You don't know if there are any trades. And it just leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. So to me, this is a much better game, and I think it's going to make for a really, really cool stream. So before we jump in, I know it was a super long intro. I wanted just to see if we had any questions or anything like that were coming up. So let me trying to keep my eye on the chat on my phone here as best I can. So good. I'm glad the audio is working. Yeah, Sean, I got lucky. I mean, yeah, 30 bucks has kind of been the going rate, I guess, but yeah, I'm kind of happy that it's been a little bit, I got a pretty good deal, and I ordered it from Canada. I mean, some guy from Canada was selling it, so it took a little while to get here, but nonetheless, we are here. So here's the first question for the community, and it's probably one of the most important ones. I have been playing this for a couple weeks on and off, right? So anything we do today is not going to be new to me, but I think that's going to be good. I used to be a high school teacher, right? And way back when, and any part of a good lesson is that you need to be ahead of your students, obviously, right? And not that I'm calling anyone in the stream a student, but obviously if we were just kind of going through this, it's going to be really boring, and you guys wouldn't have trust in me to kind of walk you through it. So I think it puts us at a really nice advantage to be able to go through and look at these different things with me kind of having a head start on it all, and being able to walk us through it. Having said that, even if we redo exactly what I've already done, I'm going to try to make it different, and I'm not going to give out any spoilers. And because this game is kind of loaded with some spoilers, like repeatable draft classes, I'm asking that we don't share spoilers. Don't be like, oh, you got to draft him, he's actually a 98 overall. Try to keep those things to yourself, because it's just going to ruin some of the fun. So, but I started one, the two teams I was really looking at were, of course, my Detroit Lions, because of all times to want to maybe take the Lions team back in 2008. This was like in the midst of the Matt Millen era. I think Millen was hired around 2000 or 2001, so this is like a year or two before he actually gets fired. This is, I think, the year after Joey Harrington left the team. It's before Matthew Stafford came to the team, so like their quarterback's John Kitna right now, but it's Calvin Johnson's rookie year in this particular. I'm sorry, Calvin Johnson was in the previous draft class, right? So he is on the Lions, but he's just completed his rookie year as the second overall pick. The first overall pick in that previous draft, the 2007 draft, was Jamarcus Russell. And he's considered one of the most classic, quarterback busts and really NFL draft busts of all time. And I thought the Raiders would be cool, not just because of that, but again, to see if we can revitalize Jamarcus Russell's career, because he's not as bad, obviously, in this game. I mean, they still have pretty high hopes for him. It would be like like a Deshaun Watson or something, right? I mean, just kind of a quarterback in his second year, or maybe a better analogy would be Baker Mayfield, right? A quarterback who's like, well, we think he's gonna be pretty good. I'm not really sure. So it'd be kind of like starting with a team like that, where it's kind of up and down with a quarterback. And so, but here's the other reason I kind of like the Raiders, and then I'm curious to get feedback on what team we're interested in. I try to pick franchise teams as realistically as I can. I think it's kind of silly to always come in and just pick your favorite team. It's not silly, it's just not what I like to do. But pick your favorite team, or like to always pick a rebuild team. I like to kind of pick a team that seems realistic. And I was looking, and I also don't think it's like, well, maybe I'll take a team that had a coaching change in real life. But they've had the whole offseason to kind of prepare, and I didn't really think that was as realistic either. And so instead, what I kind of look at is like, well, what's a team that maybe didn't fire their coach, but soon fired their coach after the season, or like even in the middle of the season? And sure enough, the Raiders fired Kiffin. What's his name? Not Monty Kiffin, his son. I can't remember his son's name now. But anyway, Coach Kiffin, he gets fired 4 games into the season, right? And it was mostly because of a disagreement with the owner. And so I was like, well, that's kind of a cool storyline to go with, is maybe we can take the Raiders, and let's just say that maybe at the start of the offseason, that spout happened and the owner got rid of him, and they're going to hire us, this collective group of knuckleheads who are going to come in and try and save the career of Jamarcus Russell, put the Raiders back on the national map like they used to be in the 70s and 80s and even before. And I thought that was a pretty cool storyline. So yes, Lane Kiffin, thank you. That was driving me crazy. So to go back again, the Lions, this upcoming season. Now in this game, they haven't had an 0-16 year yet. This would be the 0-16 season, right? So there's definitely some things to look at there. So I'm curious. There's obviously, this isn't going to be as probably huge of a stream as what we might see with MLB The Show, but let's do a quick vote. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to just take it at the straight vote. I just want to see if it's overwhelming one way or another. This game, if you read the back of the game, it talks about something like the career lasts anywhere between 10 and 15 years. So plenty long. I mean, almost like Bill Belichick long, right? So again, it'll be plenty long. So let's finally hit the start button after all that. Yeah, and yes, this is a PS3 stream here. And everything's a little bit lagged, so if I'm late on questions, that's mostly why. So, again, this is the main menu. I'm not going to really go... There's been some other recent NFL head coach streams, and I've watched some of those, and they're good. They're interesting. I was watching, is his name Hurricane or something like that? I was watching his, and they were interesting. And but none of them really get into the depths of being a general manager, and getting into the depths of really what is it like in the front office of a football team. And again, not that I have firsthand experience by any means, but I think this stream can allow us to kind of get into a little bit of a deeper role with that. And so I have loaded up some different sliders. This game does have sliders, even though it's AI versus AI. And these are I didn't do these myself. These are right off of Operation Sports. I think Adam Browski, I think he's who made the sliders for this game. And again, they're obviously ancient sliders at this point, but they've worked pretty well. I've kind of played around with it. Same thing, I put in their game rules, so there's really nothing too crazy. But this game, it's so nice. There's actually injuries in the games, your linemen get hurt, You actually have penalties that are being called, and not just the same old penalties. Like, it actually works, and I think that's the first thing about this game, is that, like, it's what Madden's supposed to be. It's what it's supposed to look like, or I shouldn't say look like necessarily, but it's how it's supposed to function. And so that's really cool. The other really cool thing that you guys might like about this, and I've already done this to save some time, is that you can create your own playbook. So I've already gone through and done this, and I didn't necessarily create them from scratch, but the offense and defense that I'm interested in running, it's kind of similar to an offense I was running even in my most recent online Madden league, where I had a super fast quarterback that I drafted, and it's kind of similar to something you'd see kind of more in the modern college football world. But the playbook I made, it's this spread attack. So there's an option one, but I didn't end up going in this one, but it's this spread attack. And again, if you just look at the different formations, it's a pretty simple thing. We're pretty much talking single back, a little bit of I-4 maybe on like short yardage, and then a lot of shotgun. And actually, oddly enough, some plays I had to add. They only let me add them into the Hail Mary area, but they're kind of like, I'm considering our Hail Mary as kind of similar, more of like our spread option plays, right? So there's like shovel option, there's jet sweeps, a lot of motion options. And so again, this isn't something that like, necessarily John Kitna's going to be able to run or something like that, but it's maybe something we look to, bring in a quarterback, whether it's through a trade, through the draft, or, Jamarcus Russell could probably run this. I mean, he's got speed. He's got enough speed in this game. He's not blazing fast or anything, but he could probably run this, or it could just be like a 2-quarterback system where we put someone in. So this is kind of more of that kind of spread playbook look. Which I think is really cool, and luckily, because I've already kind of dabbled a little bit in a different test franchise. I played about 3 games of a preseason. They actually work, and it's not overpowering, but it's not like you call these plays and they're just all duds. It's actually really cool. So that's kind of the offense we're going with, just to kind of give you an idea, regardless of what team we pick. And by the way, if one of the moderators could kind of count the tallies on the votes, that would be super helpful. So again, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but it just kind of shows you I mean, there's a whole plethora of, these are all the plays I could add in. These are the plays that I didn't put in. I try not to like have too many duplicate plays because it just gets bulky. But like even later on in this game, you can actually steal plays from coaches. Like after you finish a game, if they've run a play too often, you can actually steal that play and add it in your playbook. I mean, that's crazy, right? You don't see anything like that in Madden. So again, I-form just kind of pretty standard stuff here, nothing big. So that's the offensive playbook, and I can take this into any game I start now. That is the playbook that I can actually delete this spread option one. And then defense, I was going to run just like a straight up nickel, but I realized once you do that, like you can literally never call a 4-3, and I'm like, that's kind of crazy. So this is I only call it a basic D because that's what the game calls it. I based it off of kind of like one of their basic playbooks because I'm a big believer in, for defense, it's more about execution for me. I don't need something fancy. Offense, I don't mind mixing in a little razzle dazzle because confusion is your best friend sometimes on an offense. It's kind of like pitching in baseball, right? The more you can confuse your opponent, the better. But in defense, to me, I actually prefer to keep it relatively simple. Now, that doesn't mean you can't disguise things and things like that, but for my players, for the guys I'd be coaching, I want to keep it simple for them, even if we give the illusion that it's complex. So again, dime nickel, I'm more of a 4-3 fan. I like having those a couple defensive tackles to clog the middle. So again, pretty standard stuff there. There's really nothing in that playbook that's super exciting. So let's see here. I need to get caught up in some of the chat. So I'm seeing some Raider votes. Yeah, I'm surprised this game. It's weird because it'll show up on the PlayStation Store, but it doesn't let you order it. And that's what I was trying. I tried that for like 2 days. I'm like, damn it, come on, like this would be so much easier. And then I could just stream it off the PS4. It'd be way better. I would definitely treat the Lions right. What's up, Waffle? Waffle, a huge, very important member to the SSG community. He's in a bunch of our leagues. Heck, he's commission leagues. He's all over the place. Delonte, that is. Yeah, it is the Brian Urlacher days of the Bears. Yep, 4-1 Raiders so far. And I actually prefer 4-3. And I know kind of like the modern is more of a 3-4, and really it's more of a hybrid. but I typically run with, and truthfully, I run mostly with a nickel. I think the modern day is kind of like, I don't even care about having 3 linebackers. Give me 2 and give me an extra corner. And so that's probably how we'll be building this team regardless. If you want, I can give you a quick look at the rosters if we're deciding between the Lions and Raiders, but they're not, it's weird, they completely changed because these are the rosters like after the off season, if that makes sense. So like if you go to the Raiders halfbacks, they're going to have Darren McFadden already, right? Whereas we won't. We're going to start in the off season, so he won't be on the Raiders regardless of whether we use them or not. But so these ratings aren't exactly accurate. Jamarcus Russell is not a 60 overall when you start. He's higher. And again, I don't know. Maybe this is the accurate rating. I don't really know, but he's definitely higher than when I started. So, but not crazy high or anything. So again, you got Jamarcus Russell. You have McFadden. You have Fargas, who had 1,000 yards the year before. Nobody cares about fullbacks. Receivers, and again, like Javon Walker, I think was a free agent, so he's technically not there. Same thing with Armand Shields. So some of these guys aren't going to be there. They have a pretty good defense. Zach Miller's in his 2nd year. He's a really, really nice player, it seems like, in this game. Their offensive line, you got Robert Gallery, remember him, right? Was he like a top 5 pick? So their offensive line's not great. Defensive line. So, their defense really isn't all that great. They have a couple nice linebackers. Thomas Howard's a real nice player. Remember this guy? Is it Nnamdi Asomugha? I think I'm saying that right. This guy is such a stud. He's like an actor now or something, isn't he? Even like in movies now. But so yeah, 2 super good corners. I mean, look at this. Really 3. So we would already almost have our. I think is Chris Johnson on the team. I think in the offseason. But either way, you got some good corner options here. Michael Huff, who I like a lot. So you got a decent. Again, not all these, like, I don't think Jabril Wilson is there if you start in the offseason, but a lot of these guys are. Of course, you got Janikowski. So you got a decent setup. Let's take a look at the Lions, because I am pretty sure it's going to be one of these 2. So you got John Kitna. And again, Kitna was pretty damn productive for the Lions. And again, Calvin Johnson kind of makes anybody productive. But you got the great broadcaster, Dan Orlovsky, on the team. You got Drew Stanton out of Michigan State. Avion Kason, Tatum Bell, Brian Calhoun. So again, you just kind of got a bunch of... Kevin Smith is a rookie that they picked, right? Of course, you got Calvin Johnson. Just crazy good. I don't think you can see their player profile here. Yeah. But 6'5", he's just 23 years old. So I mean, obviously a guy you could build around. You got Roy Williams still on the team. You got Jeff Backus. Rayola still on the team, flipping off people in the crowd. Goster Cherilus was their rookie in 2008. And then probably a much worse defense, although it's not terrible. You got Cliff Averill before he was put in an end and became super good with Seattle. Ernie Sims, former top 10 pick. Lee Bodden. So you're getting a couple of decent corners. So really, both teams would be kind of set up nice for the defense I want to run. Of course, you got Jason Hanson. So, again, those are the teams. We'll head back to the chat here, see what's going on. And again, we'll go nice, and we're going to mostly go slow through this here. I'm not in any kind of rush. We'll do this a couple times throughout, maybe the week even. Let's see. Do we know if the Raiders game have the dirt? Yeah, they do actually have the dirt in the infield. Or, let's see. It might be off to the side, like on the sideline. So I actually don't mind the old stadium. Like, I think it's actually kind of cool. Yeah, it's crazy that it's not that they can't introduce them to Madden, it's just that they won't. You had a good or war with the rookies. You had to play them in the preseason to get... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was a fog of war, I think is what you're saying. Yeah, there was a fog of war for sure. Yep. Yeah, really, really cool. Because you'll have guys who are like undrafted free agents, and they'll show up on your team, and it's like, what is a 92? And you're like, this game's corny as hell. What is this? but then you realize, like, oh no, that's just like how they are kind of like, oh my gosh, like this guy could be really. So it's kind of like, you know, the preseason superhero, and then you play a couple games, and it's like, oh, he's like a 71. So that, I mean, that's kind of neat. Another way around, you'll have a guy who kind of starts lower and starts working his way up. So, all right, did we get a tally or what? I see a lot of Raiders votes. I'm thinking the Raiders are going to be the pick. So if that's the case, here's my next question. And I'm totally cool with however we do this. Do we start completely fresh? I mean, completely fresh. Or do I jump into the save that I've already been working on, which is at the start of the week 4 preseason? But again, I've already done free agency. I've already done the draft. It would be more like this franchise is going to more start with, you know, a regular season, and then we kind of build up to the draft. Or do we start this series like where, no, we want to start right with this offseason and redo the whole 2008 season? So again, that's the next question. So it's 5-1 Raiders. Yeah, we'll go with the Raiders. I like that. That's actually my vote too, as much as I love the Lions. By the way, there's people on Operation Sports who are working on updating the rosters for this game right now. And so you're going to be able to, you won't be able to redo the draft because if you use a custom roster, it makes you start at the start of the season. But basically, let's just say, you know, again, Joe Burrow. So you could start the 2008 season, unfortunately, but you could start with the Bengals and they'll have Joe Burrow. So that's maybe another stream we'll do. Maybe I'll take the Lions on that one. We can fire stupid Quinn Trisha and get rid of those two guys and you know, kind of go from there. Actually, I'm okay with Bob Quinn. I really don't like Matt Patricia as a coach, though. I just don't like how he's just a little too old school, I think, for the modern. Just to be a productive coach, I just don't think the whole yelling and fire and brimstone thing. Players just don't respond to that. Again, I still work in education. I work in higher ed. I mean, just kind of knowing, you know, there's certain ways you talk to people and things like this, and there's certain ways you can prop people up. And I just flat out don't like Coach Patricia. I don't like him coaching the Lions, and I just hope the hell he gets fired as soon as possible. And if that means Quinn goes, that's fine too, because I'm not really thrilled with kind of his vision for the team either. So, but we'll see. Again, maybe another stream another day. That'd be cool. So it looks like everybody wants to start fresh. I kind of figured. That's cool. So let me say this. I do have a game plan for this. And again, I think that will kind of speed things along a little bit because it's a pretty straightforward game plan. I will show you guys what it looks like to create a new coach. But what I'm going to do, because I did a couple things that will save us some time, I can take us right to the start of like the second you start a franchise. But let's just pretend we are starting a new one because I know you guys probably want to see like the whole coach creation. So here's Lane Kiffin, right? So it lets you go through. You can either take the existing coach or you can select a new coach. And it gives you a lot of information there on that screen about, you know, the roster talent on the team. The playbook has more to do with, like when I talk about playbook, it being weak or strong, that's actually referring to like the player intelligence with that playbook, like how familiar are they with the playbook. Obviously, if you take it, you know, we'll take over as a coach like this, but it's neat as you go through, and they of course don't have Belichick in the game, but all the other coaches are here. You got John Fox and Mike McCarthy, and so again, it's a really cool throwback, kind of a neat little thing. They all have different personalities, and they all have different staffs, you know, so again, different coordinator skills and things like that. The Raiders have we have Rob Ryan as our defensive coordinator. He's super good in this game. You can see his defensive coordinator skill super high. So again, since the Raiders finally showed some signs of life last year, but they're not out of the woods yet. The defense is talented, and Russell might be the QB of the future, but this team needs help on offense. So again, that's kind of setting the tone here. But as I go in and create a coach, you'll obviously give him a name. I'm not even going to do that just yet because I'm going to load up the one I already saved. But you have like over 100 something different like faces you can choose. So they did a pretty cool job of like load, and like these aren't terrible. Like even like NCAA football 14, like they have like you pick a coach and the guy looks like a mutated version of a human being or something. These are pretty darn clean, and there's all kinds of different ones. I mean, you know, you just randomly scrolling through here, you got over 165 or something. I think this is the one I ended up going with here. So looks like my dad. I thought a mustache kind of. So speaking of mustache, I mean, look at that one. So there's definitely some pretty awesome ones. But we'll just do this. I'm not going to bother naming it because it's kind of a slow process to type it all in. And then it lets you pick kind of your personality type. So there's, again, commander, a driven individual, superstar, someone who's super ambitious, and these are the same ones that the players will have too. So you might see someone like an Antonio Brown is probably going to be like a superstar, highly ambitious, perfectionist, but or actually there's some other ones that are maybe like lone wolf, right? Ambitious yet solitary person, enjoys change, will listen to anyone if the price is right. There's some other ones that would probably apply to Antonio Brown. Shrewd and enterprising individual, is flexible in his dealings, headliner, energetic and spontaneous. Analyst, optimist, stoic, virtuoso, anchor, titan, ally. I mean, look how many of these are, right? Like, man, will give you like two. Like, what they like, even when you start a franchise mode, you get what 3 options for, like, do you want to be an owner, a coach, or a GM? And here, like, not only are you a coach, but like you have all these different things. This is the one I went with. I felt like it just kind of fit, I guess, my personality. Strong, and I mean, again, sounds silly reading about yourself, but a strong and talented leader, as well as a cooperative and consistent member of the team. So that's something that I try to do at my real job, I guess. So I figured, hey, maybe that will work pretty well. So I did go with captain. And after you pick that, you get to edit some skills and some special skills. So similar to NCAA Football 14, if you've played that before, you have some different things you can do. The skills are more geared towards like your assistant coaches, typically, not always. I mean, they still impact. So the way the game works, like, let me just scroll down and I'll show you one as an example. So let's say I wanted to go way down here to like quarterback. It says learning development for quarterbacks. Defines how effectively this coach will assist in developing knowledge for quarterbacks. So this actually ties in like playbook knowledge and how quickly they'll learn your playbook. And so how it works is this: the most impactful coach on your quarterback is your quarterback's coach. The second most impactful for things like development, things like this, is your offensive coordinator. The third most impactful coach is you, the head coach. So it kind of works backwards in that the more refined, the more specific that coach is to that player, the more of an impact that they're going to have, right? So, it's a long way of saying all of these different, whether they're intangible things, the playbook learning, whether they're physical traits, these aren't as important for the head coach as they are the assistant coaches. There were a few I did, and like obviously like play calling, strategy, we're going to do all that ourselves. So I didn't upgrade any of these. Team chemistry could obviously help, but I don't remember if I may have upgraded this once. I don't remember, but there were some other things I wanted to focus on the next screen. I'll show you. I do believe I upgraded performance a couple times, so I think I did that and this, because this one just says that a greater performance skill generally improves the gameplay success rates of all players that report to this coach. I mean that sounds pretty good, right? I do think I may have given a kind of a knowledge increase for quarterback, because I really wanted to make sure Jamarcus Russell could learn my new playbook. That could be and there's over like 150 plays in it. So I think I can't undo these skills. That's why I'm not purchasing them just yet, but I think I may have bumped that one. But I spent most of my efforts here in the special skills, and these are more for your head coaches. So ambition is one that just kind of gives you a discount across the board of everything else. This is the first thing I purchased. Just kind of finance 101. Obviously, this is, to me, even though it's a huge hit up front, because it's 40% of all your points, it's going to save you way more than that in the long run. So I did get the ambitious one. And then I really didn't focus too much on like again, this is quarterback readiness, this is receiver discipline, running back discipline, improved ball carrier moves. Because I didn't really know how this game was going to play, I was like, well, I don't really know what I need to improve. Like, am I going to want to bump? So I kind of left all these alone and just said, let's just see how it does. Let's see how everyone does on offense. I did, I believe, bump up run blocking and pass blocking, because that really applies to everything, right? So I'm pretty sure I bumped those up. I don't think I did that one. So I bumped up our pass and run blocking. I think I may have done speed training. I think I did speed training. I don't believe I did strength. Actually, I might have done these two so that I could get this discipline routine. It helps them learn and remember plays. So there's game film analysis. Again, it increases player stats and so on. Gameplay analysis increases the coordinator's play calling skill by 1. I didn't do this yet because I figured I'd wait, because you can only do that one time, it says. So maybe wait till the coordinator's better. It's going to cost less that way. So again, the game film analysis, going back to that one. The ability to assess situations on the field and remain aware of the opponent's maneuvering. So it's kind of like awareness, right? Improved block shedding, that's for like defensive linemen and linebackers. Improved press, obviously for corners. Improved coverage. Improved tackling. There's hard hit training. Charisma, this kind of helps you like maybe not piss off the owners quickly, which is certainly important because every owner's got a different personality, and Al Davis he's a bit crazy in this game. So I think I may have gotten either charisma or charm. I forget which one, but we can look here in a second. But this is makes the effect of all emotional reactions slightly more positive. And then these have to do, these off-season seminars and the regular season seminars have to do with playbook retention. And of course, all these can be kind of built up and go, but we won't have the points just yet to do all of these. So that's all I did. I'm going to back out because I've already done this part. Let me exit out, and I'll just load this up because unless you pick your playbook and so on. And so here's where it lets you, actually let me go back because I can show you the playbook part. It's kind of cool. So these are the default ones, right? And it shows you the play counts and how many passing, how many running. But if you scroll over, it'll actually let me load. So that, by the way, they have like fictitious ones, right? So these are all like the team, like Brad Childress with the Vikings, and now it switches over into generic ones. So there's a spread option playbook. There's a pistol attack. There's the Michigan spread. So again, this is kind of going back to like the Brady Hoke days, right? So there's like a whole storyline in this game where like the former Michigan coach appears into your franchise, and an NFL team hires him, and he brings in his Michigan spread offense playbook. This is the Morality Tech is actually Texas Tech. So again, it's same kind of thing, like a Cliff Kingsbury kind of playbook, bringing that into the NFL, which I mean, kind of have now technically. There's the old Wishbone someone can bring in, and then there's just some random coaches here, some either retired coaches or maybe unemployed coaches like Mike Martz. Again, there's a traditional option, there's the wing tee, there's an Army run, right? So like Coach Sanders, I think they just call him, like again, a guy who comes in and just kind of runs an old school option offense. There's a traditional West Coast, a traditional college attack, there's a run and shoot, and then here's my playbook. So this is the one that we're going to load up. It's got 150 plays, 81 passes, 50 runs, and same thing here. I based this playbook actually off of the New Orleans Saints playbook. I've just always kind of liked that team when they had Deuce McAllister and kind of like throwing your running back, things like that. So that's what that was based off of. But again, with those option plays built into it, so it's the kind of the base of the Saints playbook, but with some spread attack mixed in, some spread option. And the same thing defense, you have all these different playbooks. I probably could just use my coaches, but I like to just bring my own in. That's got 99 plays in it. So anyway, that's what I would have done, and that's what I did do on the previous one. It lets you pick off-season or preseason. You guys want to do off-season, and there it is. So that kind of shows you everything, and it adds special skills, but you get the idea. So after I start this up, I'll back out and I'll load up the one that I already created. Simply because I've done a couple things that are like, they're kind of chores in the beginning of this game, and I can show you guys, but just to save us some time, I'll jump in and just save us the hassle. Basically what it is the game that lets you, similar to how Madden has like your schemes, right? Like you can set your schemes, like I want a pocket passing quarterback, and I want a speedy running back, or I want a physical receiver or something like that. You can set all of those different things. Now again, that doesn't take very long. What takes long is it impacts, like in Madden, but in a far more aggressive way. It impacts your players' overall ratings. It doesn't impact any of their actual ratings, but their overalls. And so I was going back and forth between menus, like, well, what's the best fit for Jamarcus Russell? Is it this, or this? And every time you had to exit out and you had to look, and that was super tedious. So to save time on the stream, what we just did, I've already done, right? And so let me just load these up here. I just don't remember which one's which, because these dates are not, oh yeah, they are accurate, interesting. So it must be this one. This should be the very, very, very first second you start. Oh, and you know what? This one might not actually have those changes. This literally might be the very first start. But if not, the other save has it. So just bear with me here while I make sure we get the right save. But oh, this game is just such a great game. Oh, Daniel, that's a good idea, streaming the draft. So wait, this one's not right. Or is it? Let's see. I can tell really quickly by team philosophy. So let me just see if I've changed all of these different things. Let's see, these should be balanced, I think. I know I had like hybrid defensive end, or prototype, I should say. Prototype. Yeah, this looks right. All of our linemen were like big. Yeah, this is right. Okay, so this is I already went through and adjusted all these, but it's a pretty cool thing to look at. So again, I have like mobile speed quarterback, because ideally that's something I want to try to get. Of course, I want him to be able to throw the ball too, but it even lets you set like, you know, for quarterbacks and running backs, like how do you want to handle them in practice? Do you want them to practice when they're tired or hurt? Do you want them to, you know, be pulled sooner in a game? I mean, this is and all the different teams have their own variations of this. I mean, it's just crazy. You can set like roster minimums, so if you want to let the AI kind of control it. I mean, it's just really, really cool. So I went with speed wide receivers. Not that necessarily that's my top choice. It's just that's what the Raiders have a lot of. So again, I don't, you know, I'm a big believer in that. Like you shouldn't. We're gonna reload this here, but I'm a big believer in that. You know, you need to work with what you have. I mean, of course, you want to bring in kind of your own game plan, but and that's for any job, where you can't just show up and just expect everyone to just adjust to you. I mean, you have people there who have skill sets and things that can be utilized, and they can benefit from you working more with them as opposed to just having them work with you. So that was kind of the approach with this, is just saying, well, this team's got a lot of speed at receiver, and even though that's not necessary, I'd rather have like maybe crisper route runners and guys like that. But hey, let's go with it. There's no sense in cutting everyone and creating a bunch of cap problems. This game can move kind of quickly, as you can see, so I'm going to just reload this really quick. Because I want to be able to talk through what those little tasks are. But basically everything happens on that clipboard that you saw, where there's like a timer going down, and it'll slow down when you click into those menus. But just because I wanted to show you guys that thing. And I also wanted to show you guys the coach makeup that we went over, so I can make sure I show you the right thing. So bear with me here just as we get started. Oh shoot, that was the wrong one, I think. I had to download these all off the cloud. I had to reformat the entire PS3 to kind of get the Elgato system working right. So normally I could just tell by the dates on these, but because they were all taken off the cloud yesterday at lunch, they all have like the exact same time. So that's 14 days until free agency. I think this might be like the literal first start. Let's see. This probably doesn't have team philosophy stuff set up. Let's see. No, it does. Okay. So this one starts on February 18th. I just want to make sure I really had the right one, just in case, because one of these I've already done some stuff and I don't want to ruin that. So February 18th, and then we'll get moving, I promise. Sorry for the delay. But that is a good idea, Daniel, like streaming the actual draft. Oh yeah, and this game is way ahead of its time. Yeah, no question. Okay, let's try this again. You'd think they would just like show you like the game date, as opposed to like when I saved it or downloaded off the cloud. I mean, it would really make it a lot easier. But February 18th, I mean, I think that is like the first day, so we should be good. Man, I was using Tua last night in NCAA 14. That's pretty cool. It was pretty fun. Streamed a little bit of that last night just to test out this Elgato system and whatnot. It's pretty neat. But we're going to start getting into this for sure, so just bear with me. I just want to make sure we're starting it off right, because I've had so many saves of this, because this game does crash once in a while, so they say to make sure you save it. Okay, so yeah, it is the other file. So let's back up, and then we will know for sure now it's that 2008 one. Yeah, live streaming the draft would be interesting, but I don't know. Part of me just likes to just kind of watch it, you know. Oh, if this game had the graphics of like the actual Madden, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get anything else done. It'd be dangerous. I mean, the music's so good, like everything in this, it's just, this music's so classic. It's just super, super good game all around. Okay, so this is the one we want here. So February 18th is where this starts, right? If you think about today, we're on, what, April 21st today? I think, something like that, or 22nd, so 23rd, the draft, right? So that gives you an idea. We're about 2 months out in this game when we start here before the draft. And I'm going to start just by showing you the coach makeup that I did. And if you think back to those screens with the skills and the special skills and all that, we will take a look and I'll show you exactly what I picked here. So first thing, oops, I want to change that speed down, and we will go to, I just gotta find where the staff status. There's so many little menus and I don't remember. I'm already on the hot seat, look at that. I'm trying to remember how I actually see this. Develop stats in here. So here's what I picked. So I didn't do any of these. As I mentioned, we upgraded the performance a couple spots, right? Because I mean, of course, we want them to perform well on game day. I didn't do any physical things. I don't think I did any intangibles because, as I mentioned, they kind of impact the positional coaches more. I might, yeah, so I went up 2 spots for learning on the quarterback to help Jamarcus Russell. And I think because when I looked at the rosters originally, he had like a learning score that was pretty low. And that's like an actual rating in this game. He has a fairly low rating for learning. And so to kind of help him along, because I mean, let's be honest, if, we have a pretty good defensive coordinator, we have a pretty good defense. We have to get this offense going, and it's all going to start with Jamarcus Russell, especially on the offense I'm trying to run. If he's slow out the gate and can't figure out what the hell's going on, we're in trouble, right? So let's look at the special skills I got. So I mentioned I got ambition. I didn't do any of these kind of offensive positional ones. I did get pass blocking and run blocking, because again, that should really help everything. I got speed, like I mentioned. We got game film analysis. So again, just to kind of increased awareness. There's probably nothing more frustrating in a coach mode than you see your players just doing dumb stuff all the time. What else do we get? That might be it. Yeah, that was it. So ran out of points pretty quickly because ambition cost so much. So that's what we did, kind of going back to that very, very first menu. And your coaches, your other coaches will upgrade, right? They'll actually get skill points that you can go through, and you can increase them and get them new skills and so on. I mean, look at this. You got, you know, Tom. They have running backs coaches, guys, and they're real people. Tom Rathman, right, former 49er. James Lofton, former wide receiver. I think he's actually in Tecmo Bowl. Isn't he in Tecmo Super Bowl? He like played for the Dolphins or something. So I mean, this is amazing, right? Rex Ryan, or I should say Rob Ryan, is pretty awesome in this game. So again, he's probably a guy who's going to probably leave for like a head coaching job, I would guess, especially when my dumbass shows up to be his boss. So, but he's got obviously some. He's stacked. This guy's so good. So I'm kind of just letting him. I wouldn't even, we can consider letting him call the defensive plays and so on. So the game starts with this, right? Your clipboard. This is kind of all things, and I've turned off all the little hints because I got sick of seeing them, but I can talk you guys through them. But there's all of these different little menus. There's a whole thing dealing with the draft, right? So if I go to draft preview, it's going to show me kind of like the, the strength of that particular position, and it's going to show me, who a sleeper player is, who an overrated player is at that position. And again, these aren't, completely accurate. Like, just because it's 2-star doesn't mean all the quarterbacks suck. It's just there's just not a lot of depth is really what it's talking about, right? So if you want a quarterback, you probably need to go a little early. You got Ray Rice, Jonathan Stewart. So you'll recognize a lot of these names. Again, this is where I ask about spoilers. Let's not talk about if if there's certain players that are like, oh, this guy's always so good in this game. He's a Hall of Famer. I appreciate that, but let's just let people kind of enjoy the process here. You can create a draft board. I've noticed this doesn't really work that well, so I didn't really bother with the draft board. It's kind of a little quirky. As far as the Raiders draft picks, bad news, guys. We have a first, which is number 4 overall, where they took DeMarcus, or they took, what's his face, McFadden. Darren McFadden, number 4. We have a 4th round pick, a 6th, and 2 7ths. Now we have the full draft the following year. But yikes, right? So, we're going to get a first pick in the top 4 unless we end up trading down or something. So that could be, I guess, a little bit alarming. Scouting results, we don't really have any scouting results. Now, you're looking at these overall grades and you're probably freaking out, being like, are you kidding me? Like, look at all these 99s. This is, again, like on a rookie rating range, right? This is like how the rookie, as we see him with only 33% scouting, would kind of fit into our system and be a fit for the team on all things: attitude, personality, intangibles, all those different things, right? So again, if we just went to like quarterbacks as an idea, Matt Ryan's pretty damn good. He's saying they'd be a good fit. He's talented. Joe Flacco, same kind of thing. So when you get down to these guys who are like in their 60s, it doesn't mean that they're bad. It's just that's just kind of their full makeup. There's a lot more to it, right? So if you open up a player, it's like Dennis Dixon, right? Quick release, elusiveness, above average arm. Again, that's kind of talking about his strengths, his weaknesses, reading defenses, durability, decision making. These ratings aren't, they're only relative to the player. So like you could have a player with 3 negatives, but if he's just a stud across the board, like if we were to put Peyton Manning up here and it says, well, his awareness is his biggest negative. It's like, oh, wait a second. He ran the entire offense himself, right? So it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just like for him, for that particular player, that's their biggest weakness. So again, it's just something to keep in mind. But eventually you'll get to do some Senior Bowl scouting. There will be the NFL Combine workout results. I mean, look, why doesn't Madden have this? They give you garbage information in their drafts. We'll eventually learn about his personality, his durability, and then just kind of like his height and weight. I do think it's weird that we don't know their height and weight, like not even a rough estimate. I think that's kind of bizarre, but you get that information pretty soon. So again, if we look at just kind of the overall players in this draft, I mean, there's going to be some familiar names. And I can tell you this, they're not always going to obviously be what you think. There's no guarantee Matt Ryan turns out to be a good quarterback. Again, you're going to see some names here. Like what I can tell you is that all of these names were big names. These guys in the 90s, these were big names in that particular draft, right? But again, it doesn't always mean that they're going to be, everything. So just little things to keep in mind. So that's kind of looking at the draft. I want to make sure that thing doesn't tick away. These are all things that you can sim to. I'm going the opposite direction now. There's a glossary, so like if you wanted to look up like, hey, what does my approval mean? They have a really nice glossary in this game. And it just kind of walks you through all the different stuff, so that's really cool. And again, I won't bore you with all those, but just even having this, right, is so nice. So nice. Again, NFL Combine, it kind of walks you through the different things you'll see and so on. So we'll get into that. We'll see all that stuff. You can see your playbook. You can actually create plays. Even here, like in the season, I think it's usually like one of your goals. They want you to add like 10 plays in the preseason and so on. And everything affects your approval. On the bottom right there, you can see we have an approval rating. And I figured we could probably take a look here at the roster here in just a minute, because we've kind of just seen generally our staff, right? We didn't really look at the ratings or the other ones, right? So I'm only a 13 overall. Our offensive coordinator is not very good. Our defensive coordinator is just fantastic, one of the best coaches in the game, probably. Special teams coordinator, again, pretty average. So it's kind of bad news for Jamarcus Russell right off the bat, right? I mean, he's got low learning. He's got kind of a broke offensive coordinator, and even worse, quarterbacks coach. We have a nice running back coach, Tom Rathman, a nice receiver coach. That's Tom Cable, right? So isn't he the Raiders coach? Sure, he was the Raiders coach before Gruden. So again, that's they just didn't have his rights to his name. So Tim Cobble, our offensive line coach. You got this guy with an enormous head as our linebacker coach. defensive backs coach. So, again, the defense should do okay. Our trainers, decent. Here's Al Davis. Again, don't have the right, so it's Alan David. But make no mistake, that is definitely Al Davis. And again, it just kind of gives you ratings. It kind of shows you like their personality, right? So he's a headliner. He's expressive. He's dramatic. He's spontaneous. He's ambitious, but he's impulsive. He likes change. He's reckless. I mean, this is kind of a bad guy to work for, right? Stubborn. And some of these other things, like, they're not really going to matter. Like, he doesn't have, like, coaching philosophies and stuff like that. I mean, if this was an AI team, they would. So it would show you, like, he's an aggressive trader. He likes to trade down. I mean, look at this. Team philosophies on how they handle the draft. Trade up or down. They pick the biggest needs. How do they handle their workouts, the private workouts? Well, they're going to work out players that are their biggest team needs. They like to focus on big schools, right, as opposed to like smaller programs. How often do they use the franchise tag? Look at this stuff, you guys. Like, this is crazy. How much cap room does this team prefer? Now, again, this doesn't matter because we're handling all this ourselves, but I mean, that's nuts, right? That's just completely nuts. So again, that's our staff. We have this franchise tag thing coming up, which, as you expect, is going to be talking about do we want a franchise tag, and we will have a pretty big decision on that in just a second. So I'm going to pause these as we look at these menus. But again, you have an NFL menu. They kind of like work down, right? It starts like at the league level, and then like the team level, and it gets down like to the roster level. But all these different things here, of course, like these will be more about when the season starts, like standings and injuries and stats and things like that. So that's what this one's showing. This is the team one I talked about. So like my approval rating, again, all these different things. Like the fans have an input, media, the owner, the player. The players really like me, and staff, and that all gives me this overall. Really, I think the one that matters for getting fired, though, is that owner one. That's going to be the most important one. And as you saw, we're already technically on the hot seat since we took over for a coach that got fired because their owner was crazy and got into a fight. And so let's see, we talked about the team philosophy stuff. Just to show you kind of more of that. Again, you can opt to give up some of these different controls, right? So I can say, well, I can let you guys hire the GM, or I can let you hire the offensive coordinator if you want. Because again, we're the head coach here, right? So, but I've just kind of kept all control. I've kept most of the stuff at neutral because, it doesn't really matter. But our draft philosophy, I mean, I'm a big believer in best available player for the most part. Scouting our team needs would make sense because the other options are like scout best players, which, if we already have a Hall of Fame quarterback, I don't really need to be scouting quarterbacks left and right. So team needs make sense for scouting, but I think drafting, still want to do the best player. And again, during the regular season, probably going to be scouting more on team needs focus, that kind of thing. So, but again, it has all this other information. How do you handle contract negotiations? Are you aggressive? And I just kind of kept everything at neutral. And we can always adjust these, but I don't really think it matters because we're making the decisions. These are just things that we'll have to do on other screen when we develop our coaches. But those are locked right now, so in other words, I can't go in and pick what I want my coaches to update when they get points, is why that's locked. I think you can later on, you can do that. But here's kind of the makeup, and then we'll look at the roster. Here's the makeup of like how I see this team being built the best way. So these aren't necessarily my philosophies. It's a combination of my philosophy, but it's really probably more like, it's probably 65 team build and like 35 or maybe 40 of my philosophy. So again, I'm not even a really big fan of mobile speed quarterbacks. I want someone who can have accuracy, but I think for the offense we're trying to run, they're going to have some kind of speed. And I think that also can complement Jamarcus Russell a little bit because he's got speed like in the 70s or something like that. Speed halfback, again, just kind of, it fits Justin Fargas, who's our running back at this time. So again, it's kind of complimentary to him. Fullback, I just want you to block. I don't care. I talked about the receivers already. Tight ends, because I do want to have some kind of route running, and I do think our tight end's actually a really, really good tight end. What's his name? Zach Evans or something? I forget his name now. But he's a really good tight end. We just have pretty big linemen, and so again, this was kind of what helped to kind of bring their ratings up the most, was just kind of going with size all across the board for all those guys. Defensive line, kind of looking for like prototype guys. So again, athletic defensive linemen, but they can also have some size to them. Prototype outside linebackers, kind of speed in the middle. maybe cover those running backs with some coverage skills, things like that. So a little bit more athletic linebackers as opposed to just like run stuffers. Quarterbacks, I like doing a nice mix of man and zone. Prototypes for safeties, again, just athletic guys who can kind of do, wear multiple hats, and kickers, who cares, but definitely want them to be able to have some distance to them. So that's the again, you can pick how you want to build your team through free agency or the draft, and again, every team has their own philosophies, right? It's just so cool, and as they get new coaches, like those philosophies will change. Your player roadmap I can show you, but this is basically it kind of, well, it'll make more sense when I show you, but you can favor contracts, play knowledge, overall grade, role. I just put it on upside for now. It's kind of like potential. Again, play calling. How do you want to kind of have these things called if you're like simulating games, things like that. So, hey, look at this, right? A media complainer. Are you going to bench him? I prefer to bench. Or are you going to let him start? I just put it on balance because I guess maybe it depends on the situation. But what about if someone skips practice? There are players in this game who skip practice. Have you ever seen that in net? It's just crazy. It's so good. What about starting a rookie quarterback? I don't really like to do that myself, but maybe some teams do, right? Or there's a balance. Whereas a running back, you want to get those, most valuable years is when they're young, so I'll definitely start a rookie running back. So it's just crazy, right? The different things. And I'm looking at the chat again. Yeah, game way ahead of his time. Good question, Delante. Let's see how much salary cap we have. But it can go in like, do you want to use injured players and so on? There's all these different things. Salary cap status. So at this point, start of the offseason before the draft, we have money to spend. We have, now again, this is 2008 money, right? So keep this in mind. The NFL salary cap is 116 million. We have about 30 million left. So we have quite a bit of cap, which is good. It's definitely good. That team roadmap, I think, is in here. No, it's not, but you can kind of go through and see like what they call a team game plan. So like for your quarterback one, they're saying actually that Andrew Walter is probably our best option, but an upgrade would be Dante Culpepper, who is a free agent. And as I scroll down, you can see, so again, there's a lot of free agents. They actually have Jamarcus Russell as being worse down here. They can show you again for backup, they're saying, hey, Jamarcus Russell, he's going to be better than any kind of backup we could sign. Look, it's restricted free agency. Dan Orlovsky is a restricted free agent, so you'd have to give up compensation if you were to sign him. Just all kinds of crazy stuff, right? And if your player is not on there, so he's 9th, but like eventually you'll get to a spot where like it might just be dead last. And so like right here, Curry, it says he's really 22nd, right? It just kind of shows you like he's not even in the top 10, but we'll put him on the list anyway. So so again, just kind of looking at some of this, right? And maybe we can use this to kind of get a gauge for our team. So they're saying for quarterback one, actually, let me take that back. Let's look later, because this will eventually put the draftees in there too. When we get closer to the draft, that will actually put those in there. So this team roadmap thing, and then we'll get into a couple different things, but oh, that is the same thing. So team roadmaps, all these different things I see. So it shows us our top needs according to, I guess, the profile that we put together in the previous screens. Outside linebacker, a lot of defense so far. Right guard, receiver. Glad it doesn't have quarterback there. It's in our top 10, but I mean, I think most teams could probably put quarterback as a need in their top 10. So yeah, I guess the big decision that we have coming up is going to be this franchise tag. So let's jump in and see what this is. So it says on the screen you can choose one player to franchise tag. The franchise tag allows you to keep a player for 1 year even if they don't want to resign. So I'm assuming you know what that is. And again, they are going to get the average salary of like the top 5 at their position, highest paid at their position, right? So this kind of shows you what it would cost them. It brings them back for a year, and it obviously makes sense to do it. But just like in real life, in this game, there's a downfall. You can really piss off the player, where they might say either I'm going to hold out and not play, or maybe I'll play this year, but I'm gone. I'll never resign with you long term, right? So, at the top of this list, obviously, we have Asamuga, who is far and away our best free agent. I mean, these other guys, I really don't think, I mean, you're below an 85. I don't see why you really want to bother doing this. So he would be our target. But let's back out of here for a quick second. Oh, it's not going to let us back out. Oh, good. We can look at this thing. So again, let's get a kind of a synopsis here to see if this is a good decision for him or not, right? So he's a 91 overall corner. They're saying that he is basically a Pro Bowler. He has the potential to be great, which he already is. So he's pretty much at his potential. He's very athletic. He's got excellent intangibles. His production's bad, which is weird because it's just last year he didn't put up like a ton of interceptions because in the previous season he just wasn't thrown to. So his production's quote unquote low, but he's just so shut down that he's just never really tested. He's got elite size. He's 6'10". I didn't realize he's 6'2", 210. Elite football IQ, so learning, right? We talked about Jamarcus Russell having low learning. This guy can pick up our playbook really quickly, and he's pretty durable, right? It's pretty solid durability. This previous year, right? They said it would be what, about 8 or 9 million to franchise tag him. He's at 1.2. If that's what he was making the previous year. He didn't have any incentives. It shows us our health, so very similar to NBA 2K, right? You still don't see this in Madden. He's pretty damn healthy. I mean, the fact that everything's green on that little chart of the body there is very nice. But I think here, and we'll come back to personality, because I think that's the one we're going to have to look at most. Status is just kind of showing it says average, but he's certainly better than that, and he's content with everything. So again, very NBA 2K looking if you think about it. His playbook knowledge, never seen this in Madden, right? Or NFL 2K. This is amazing, but he obviously hasn't learned much of our playbook because we just showed up. But he has some familiarity with our goal line. He's actually mastered a lot of that. But again, he should pick up on it pretty quickly. So that will start to change as the season, especially the preseason and practices start up. If you go into progression, you can kind of see players' ratings a little bit more. He's got 99 man coverage, potential of 95 zone. He's got nice speed. I mean, he's just sick, right? There's no question. I don't need to sell you guys on this guy. Super, super good. You can go all the way down and even look at his injury and like his stamina and again, his learning is just outstanding. And here's his stats, right? So, by the way, look at this. Even shows you the team. Madden still doesn't show you the team in their player history inside of a franchise. So you can see he had a quote-unquote a bad year because he only had one interception. So I don't know if maybe he was hurt or something, but I imagine a lot of teams just weren't throwing his way. But he's only had that 1 year really where he had a bunch of interceptions, but 14 defended passes the year before that. So look at these last 2 years. I mean, we're just awesome. And then last year, maybe it was a down year for him. But regardless, here's what's really going to matter when we make this decision. So I'm curious, this is kind of the first team think activity, I guess. As we look at his personality, is franchise tagging him going to be the right thing? So it says he's conservative. He appreciates safe decisions by the head coach. Doesn't like outbursts. Okay, doesn't tell us a whole lot. Humble. Understands that he's a piece of the puzzle. Willing to take less for the greater good. Okay, I could see him understanding being franchised, but I could also say, well, maybe he will work on a nice contract with us. Maybe not try to nickel and dime us to that. He's realistic. He knows to take the good with the bad. Doesn't expect perfection. Okay. He's contented. He generally is comfortable. Doesn't require much special attention. Okay. Problem solver. Quick on his feet. Can analyze a problem. Come up with a solution. He's patient. Willing to wait on a decision. Doesn't expect issues to be resolved immediately. Okay. He's level-headed. Understands the big picture and that the NFL is a business. He's willing to accept his role. He's shrewd. He's a very adept negotiator. Gets what he wants or walks away. That's the first one that kind of raises a red flag for me. Gets what he wants or walks away. So again, if we franchise him, is he going to be, Dunzo with the Oakland Raiders here? He's sensitive. He tends to take things personally and reacts to situations in that manner. He's uncompromising, won't budge once his mind is made up, hard to deal with in negotiations. So these are the three, again, I think on the surface, in Madden, you franchise tag him, right? But I think there's definitely a discussion to be had here in NFL head coach, and it's because of these three things. Gets what he wants or walks away. takes things personally. And it's hard to deal with once his mind is made up. He won't budge. So it's kind of like, well, you know, do we franchise tag him now and worry about it later? The other option is we don't franchise tag him and he hits unrestricted free agency. And he's out there for anybody to go and sign. You know, and we have some depth at corner on this team. But, I mean, you don't have anybody who's as good as he is, right? Yeah, I agree with D-Man. I mean, the fact that last year he wasn't getting throws his way. Yeah, and he went to Philly after that, yeah. So, but in this franchise, he's still with us. So, I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are. It's pretty close to a 50-50 thing for me. Because again, franchising, I mean, it is going to cut into a big chunk of, you know, we just saw we have about 30 million. That's a third of it already by franchise tagging him. Pausing to see if anyone has input, but I think I have what I would prefer to do. I think my input is this. I think we don't franchise tag him. And I think the reason is for those 3 personality traits we just saw. But I think that is guaranteeing us a problem, right? We don't know if we have a problem if we go the other option, but this is guaranteeing us potentially 2 problems. It cuts into our salary cap a lot. $8 million is a lot in 2008 for a corner, for anybody. So it cuts into our salary cap by 1/3. And it very realistically could piss him off. So there's 2 reasons right there. If we don't franchise tag him, we still have a way, we can re-sign him, right? We can still be pretty aggressive in trying to re-sign him. So we'd still have a chance. Obviously, we run the risk of him walking away and we get nothing for him, right? So let him walk, Delonte says. We won't get a chance to negotiate with him. It'll just be, he will be in the free agent pool when it starts. They don't in this game, at least. I think maybe if he was restricted or something like that, we obviously would. But with this, like the player, they'll just go into free agency. But yeah, very good question. So, I don't see anyone opposing that plan. So, as crazy as it is, because he will probably be the top free agent, but I just don't think we should spend that kind of crazy money on him. So, we're going to back out of this. Are you sure you want to leave without tagging? Yeah, because I don't want to take over a third, I guess more maybe of a quarter of our salary cap. That's a lot. I mean, guys, we're going to have holes to fill. We only have a first-round draft pick, and then not again until the 4th. And again, we actually have depth at corner. We actually have, who's the guy they got from Atlanta? I'll have to show you here. Hall. Dante, or is, no, not Dante Hall. What the heck's his name? So let me see. Now, he'll still be on our roster. What's weird, I think one of the only weird glitches in this game is now that he will be a free agent, it like resets all of his playbook knowledge. So like if we were to re-sign him, he's going to be like, oh, I'm new to the team. But again, it's not, for someone like him especially, it's not going to be too hard for him to, or yeah, D'Angelo Hall. It's not going to be too hard for him to pick that up. So, but look, we already have D'Angelo Hall making $7 million, a $70 million contract on 7 years. So I mean, worst case, D'Angelo Hall can be our number 1. He's only 22 years old. So again, we have some depth here. You know, Fabian Washington can be a corner 2. Chris Johnson can be a corner 3. I mean, there's some depth here. I still would like to re-sign him. I mean, like I said, I use a lot of nickel. So, I mean, Fabian Washington would still be a starter. But, of course, you want this guy on your team. So, you know, another thing we can look at is, I think there's like a free agency preview somewhere. Yeah, so free agency preview. we probably should have looked at this first, but if we go to corner, so you got Asante Samuel. Now other teams may be what do you want to call it, franchise tagging, but he would be the top corner available. But Asante Samuel could also be there. If we look at all, so you got kicker, left guard, he's the best defensive player, him and Samuel. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see if will the Patriots make us look really stupid by franchise tagging Asante Samuel? We'll have to see. But I'm glad you guys agreed with me. Let's look at our season goals really quick, and then we'll start looking at senior scouting. So these are from our owner. Now it's weird because our GM is Al Davis, but our owner is Charles Winningham. But really, it's I guess one and the same for the Raiders. But it says you can see your goals and how they impact your approval, and the deadline for each goal. The goals give you an idea of what you need to do as head coach to run a successful NFL franchise. So they want us to acquire a quarterback with an overall of at least 85. So our plan to kind of rehab Jamarcus Russell has been kind of thrown a curveball, so to speak. So it says we can either draft a quarterback, acquire one in free agency, or we can trade. So again, an 85 or higher. I think Jamarcus was like a 70 something. Okay, so that's interesting. Acquire a right guard with at least an 85. Okay. Same kind of thing. Get him wherever you want. And get a receiver. So our owner really wants us to bulk up the offense. Now, I should say the GM, or the owner is giving us the goals, but this is what will make our GM happy, apparently. So you can see this. It's not our overall approval. It's the approval that applies towards the GM. So just one of like 5 that apply to our overall. So if we don't do these things, it's not going to necessarily kill us. I would say it's going to be pretty bad news if we don't do all 3 of them. But like we might just say, hey, F off, I'm not upgrading at quarterback. I have faith in Jamarcus. And okay, well, we're going to go with that. But sure, guard makes sense. I mean, sure, I think we saw already in the kind of like the team roadmap that, I mean, receiver, like there's 21 other players that are available in free agency who are better than our first receivers. So, I mean, I agree with that one. We can take a closer look at guard. But again, these are the goals that our owner has given us. So we'll just keep those in mind. We have a long time. The deadline is not until after the draft, basically. And we can obviously always trade for one, too. Speaking of trading for one, and before we even get into the senior scouting, let's talk about finding kind of like a speedy quarterback, just so we kind of get an idea. Let's just see who in the league actually has some speed at quarterback, and if we can see that. So we can, and look how nice this is. You can actually just sort everybody. So Vince Young is the fastest in the NFL, 90 speed. You got Seneca Wallace at 85. I'm also looking at their overall. So a couple guys, but so we need to be an 85. Even if we're to make a move, and Vince Young, his contract, he's impossible to trade for. Like the game literally will say no. Like they don't want to eat that. They don't want to eat the salary, obviously. So I'm just looking at overalls. Troy Smith's got nice speed, but he's a 79. Tavares Jackson, again, like no one's really an 85, right? So now we're getting down to like guys who are already slower. These guys are close, but again, we already have Josh McCown. Yeah, these guys, we're starting to get a little too slow now. I don't really consider any of these guys. So like David Garrard, Tony Romo, but again, they're not really like guys I want running a spread option with. So there's not really anybody looks like a good trade. So senior all-star scouting is starting, and that's what this is referring to here. Before we do that, let's create a save for ourselves. Because again, this game will crash. It hasn't crashed on it yet. It's just some of the stuff I was reading on Operation Sports and stuff were saying, oh my god, keep tons of backups because your files get corrupt and blah blah blah. But I haven't had it happen yet. But let's just save it there. Okay. Alright, so senior scouting for quarterbacks.
The scouts are about to take off for today's senior all-star practice. Who should they watch?
Okay, so again, this is just for seniors, right? Now, it says choose players to scout below. Scouting them unlocks their intangible ratings. The number of players you can scout corresponds directly to the GM's scouting ability at each position. So we only get to scout one because apparently our GM sucks at scouting quarterbacks. Okay. And again, these are the seniors, so that's why you're not seeing like Matt Ryan. So we have to pick one of these guys to get more information about, and it'll, of course, give us a higher percentage of that percentage scouting will go up. So Joe Flacco would satisfy our owner goal, right? So, I mean, I guess we can look. His NFL comparison, Jay Cutler, okay. He's got good size, elite arm strength, character, but one of his negatives is athleticism. I mean, and it's not going to show us anything else about him just yet, but, I mean, we don't know what his speed is, but, I mean, he has low athleticism, and his NFL comparison is Jay Cutler. I'm guessing he's not really fast. I don't really want to waste our one scouting on him because he's, I mean, I want to get Jamarcus Russell some playing time. What's the point of, Flacco's going to be maybe, I don't know, top 15, top 20 pick or something? Or certainly I can take him at 4. So, we can start looking down at some of these other ones here. So NFL comparison, Seneca Wallace. I'll let you guys take a look at their little scouting report there. Again, we don't even have size on these guys yet. So he's got elusiveness. That's nice. But again, doesn't tell us a whole lot. Kyle Bowler, wasn't he like one of the slowest ever? Yeah, so Chad Henne's got negative mobility, so one of his negatives there. So that's not good. Matt Hasselbeck had a little mobility to him, not a lot. And again, mobility, a negative rating for John David Booty. Andre Woodson. He's got good potential. He's got nice size, even though we don't know what it is. Jason Campbell's a decent NFL quarterback. I think so far I'd probably vote we go Andre Woodson. Even though the overall is 35, don't be alarmed by that. That's not always going to mean a whole lot. But he's got a good arm, he's got good size, he's got potential. That sounds pretty good. This guy's got, Colt Brennan has got negative mobility. Not really interested. Josh McCown could move. But it doesn't say anything about that being a pro or con. So honestly, I think I would go with Andre Woodson. He just looks interesting. A guy, we have 2 7th round picks for instance. Like maybe this is a guy we could grab in like the 6th or 7th round or something. What do you guys think? Should Andre Woodson be our senior quarterback, the 1? John David Booty does probably have the best name. It's pretty good. Yeah, Josh McCown is 28 in this game and is still playing. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so Delonte says, I think Delante's on board with me. Not that Kentucky's like a small school, but they're not exactly a football school. Alright, let's go with Andre Woodson. Because again, we're not going to be picking what's his face, Joe Flacco or anything like that. So, okay, so he's scouted. Now in a little bit, it'll give us the results. You could also just go to it yourself, but it'll eventually pop up on the clipboard. But let's just go take a look here. So we can go see. Now we should have more information. Now he was like a 35 or a 32 or something like that. Now again, all the quarterbacks are here, so we got rated a little bit higher. So that's why you're seeing more, because it was just seniors we were looking at. So he went up to a 39, and again, he's only 46% of the way scouted. These scouting details don't change, so that's not going to change, but we do have his intangibles. On the left there, you can see is a 68. So okay, 68 intangibles. Now we get some stats here. We get some ratings. Senior Bowl scouting, accuracy of 70, awareness 68. So he's not very elusive. He's really not much of anything from what we can see. It definitely looks like a backup. But hey, good thing we scouted him and we didn't get suckered into that potential plus. But hey, maybe he could still be good, because I think these are like current ratings, right? So they could certainly be better than that. So there's Andre Woodson. We just did our very first senior scouting. Now it's on to the running backs. Same thing here. If you have feedback, please share it. Let me know what you think. Now this time we get to pick 3 different guys. Now, at running back for our team, let's just go take a look here and see. Because again, in real life, they actually picked Darren McFadden with the 4th overall pick. That's not really something I maybe envision. I just don't think running back's all that important to pick that high. So here's what we have at running back currently. Again, Fargus had 1,000 yards the previous season. Lamont Jordan, decent pass catcher. Dominic Rhodes, kind of a career journeyman. He used to play for the Colts. Michael Bush, remember he was kind of one of those really popular running back who got hurt in college, but he's on the roster. Shard Lee is actually a free agent, so he's gone. So we have 4 running backs who are already on the roster. None of them are like, Pro Bowl caliber running backs or anything like that. And again, same thing with the potentials. We don't have like crazy potentials, but I mean, Fargus and Michael Bush had the potential to at least be like, borderline starters. Maybe Lamont Jordan works as the 3rd down back or something. Let's see how these guys are at like catching. So yeah, not terrible, 75. I don't think they have route running for running backs in this game. Speed, I know everybody likes to see speed. I mean, Fargus got crazy speed. That's really about it. Nice acceleration. He's not more just kind of a straight line runner. Michael Bush could be a nice short yardage back, 6'2", 243. Whereas Fargus, pretty decent size himself, but Michael Bush looks like a nice power back. Really nice trucking. Lamont Jordan too. Kind of low awareness. And they can hold on to the ball. I don't like Michael Bush's. He'll definitely be a short yardage guy for us, probably only. Don't want to be too many carries with that carry being that low. Ball carrier vision. This is very important in a game like this where you're not controlling the players. Can they find the proper holes and things like that? So again, Justin Fargus is athletic. He's fast, but like he doesn't have great vision. He doesn't have great agility. Michael Bush again looks like a nice power back. So like, I guess in short, like, could we use a running back? Yeah, I would say so. But it's not like we're gonna die if we don't. This is a little troublesome. Look at these 2 guys. Look at their injury ratings. Yikes, all these guys. Oh my god. So maybe we do need a running back. Yikes. Like, Fargus could probably be a decent backup now that I look at it. Like, he'd be a nice like speed guy or something, like run some pitches to, things like that. But yikes. Oh, I thought they had a route run. Or blocking. Catching traffic they have. Interesting. So anyway, that gives you an idea of our running backs. I'm not going to scout any fullbacks. So. All right, let's see. Senior running backs. Again, seniors only. So now again, we're only going to get basic details here. Speed, explosiveness, elusiveness. And those are pretty nice things in a running back. Undersized, he's not very tough, he's not very durable. So it's kind of like, don't we already have this running back? I mean, this is Justin Fargus, basically. So I'm not like jumping up and down to scout Chris Johnson. Matthew Forte, of course, former Bear. He's got great power. Now remember, we're looking for a speed running back essentially because that's kind of what fits our team profile. But it doesn't have to be. So he's a power guy. He's got nice vision, that's good. And he's got nice work ethic. Ball security though, being his biggest negative. That automatically, for me at least, kind of crosses him off the list. Looks like a nice power back, but I mean, we kind of already have a power back in Michael Bush, so I'm not looking at fullbacks. I don't care about fullbacks. There's Peyton Hillis, right? Former Madden cover athlete, isn't he? So now we're way down to some like lower guys, but that's okay. So Tashard Choice, of course, he had a decent NFL career. Now he has the same comparison. If you go all the way back up, right, Michael Pittman was the comparison for Chris Johnson. So the same, where am I going? The same NFL comparison. So He's got good vision. He's got nice hands. That's good. I like running backs who can catch. Again, we're using kind of like a Saint hybrid playbook. And good work ethic. He's not strong. He doesn't have like a home run ability. He's not very elusive. But still, we get to scout 3 of these guys. I mean, I'd put him on the list. So maybe Tashard Choice would be interesting to look at. Chauncey Washington. Looks like a power guy with some upside. I mean, I guess. But we really don't need a power. We already have a young power back. We'll see if he can stay. He's not going to get a ton of carries. He'll be situationally used. I'm looking for a guy who could possibly come in and like push for the starting job. So Justin Forsett, nice speed, elusiveness, intangibles. He's not great at learning. Not a ton of power, undersized. But his comparisons work done. And work done was a productive player, and I believe a pretty good pass catcher. So sure, I'll put him on that list. And then we're down to basically 3 scrubs here. But I just wasn't seeing anything up in the higher level. So Dantrell Savage, acceleration, work ethic, durability. So again, he's not a power back. I like that work ethic though. I like him. Let's see if one of these other guys can beat him out. Good vision, good toughness. Kind of comparing spoiled apples to spoiled apples in this, right? So he's got negative ball security. Let's take him off the list. So one of these 2 guys. It sucks that he doesn't have, I mean, big playability is obviously something you'd like to see in a running back. He's got great vision though. He's got that work ethic, he's durable. I think I'd go Savage. What do you guys think? Or I should say, if you have a thought, share it now. Or forever let the running back scouting commence. Okay. Alright, here we go. We're scouting 3 running backs. Let's see what we got from their senior scouting here. Let's see if anybody shot up to the top. Probably not. So I'm just looking at that percentage scouted. So we did look at Tashard Choice. Let's see what we learned here. Oof. Not a whole lot. Nothing nothing good there. If I just scroll down, we should eventually get to the next guy. Good elusiveness. Well, not really great speed. Pretty slow, actually. So again, nothing to really write home about. Dantrell Savage, again, similar, actually very similar ratings. Oh, spin move, sorry, not speed. So actually, these guys aren't bad. Elusiveness, spin move, juke move, so it's shiftier guy. Justin Forsett's not bad. And they're actually really similar. These 2 guys are very, very similar. See the last one we looked at. Alright. No, there were the 3 running backs. So this game will continue. It's going to just kind of go through each of the different position groups for the senior scouting. And that's kind of the first thing you do. You can see it says 13 days until free agency. We will be kind of doing these senior scoutings up until the start of free agency. And I think what we'll probably do is, yeah, we'll talk about free agency when we get to it. So we already know we have a couple owner goals and things like that. So let's take a look at, again, senior receivers and tight ends this time. But first, let's back out and let's look at our roster. We know we have some weaknesses at receiver. We don't actually have really a problem at tight end. I mean, I would like to maybe get a second tight end. So Zach Miller, I mean, he's only 20. He's 21 years old. He actually had a pretty nice year last year as a rookie. He's obviously on a rookie contract, so he's not making a ton. He's got nice health. Traditionalist, so no real personality problem. It says he's a solid backup, but I mean, he's still got some nice potential, I think. stats. So his rookie year, with the rookie throwing him 44 catches, 444 yards, 3 touchdowns. So I think we're good at tight end. I would like to maybe get a second tight end, but again, we're pretty limited in our draft picks, so it's not like it's a huge need, and I certainly don't want to overpay someone. Because honestly, I'm not sure how much a second tight end is even used in this game. Like I know when I built my playbook, there's no like primary routes for like a secondary second tight end. Obviously, they'll get passes thrown to them, but they're almost always going to be. They're always secondary options in the passing game. So it'd probably be more like kind of like a balanced tight end, somebody who could come in and block. I mean, these guys are really nothing to write home about. Maybe if one of them's a good blocker, they'd be a nice third tight end. I like to carry 3 tight ends for like goal line, things like that. But even that, like these guys aren't any good. So tight end depth we could definitely use, again, like a blocking tight end. Here's where we have a receiver. For our best receiver, first off, Jerry Porter, he's a free agent, so we're not going to look at him. We have Ronald Curry. He's still got 4 years left on a contract. Where he's making about $4 million a year. This guy's pretty overpaid. He's a 78. So again, not too exciting if you look at his stats from last year. 55 catches, 717 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, to me, like 13-yard average. To me, at best, this guy's a wide receiver 2 on probably a bad team. So again, I think worst case, or I'd say best case for him, he's a wide receiver 2. I'm also looking over on this column, right, for potential. So he's pretty much what he is now. We have Johnny Lee Higgins, again, recently drafted. I think this is also his second year. He's got really nice potential, so 89, really the next 2 guys, Johnny Lee Higgins and Chris McFoy, are both younger, 23 and 24. They have nice potential. If you look at their player card, just kind of see some of the stats they put up. Again, not much at all, just six catches, so not anything to really look at there. For McFoy, he has none. So we have some guys with potential, but we don't really have anything to rely on, and we certainly don't have anything that's going to satisfy that owner goal of grabbing a receiver, right? Or adding an 85+ receiver. So could receiver be in the mix for the number 4 pick? Yeah, I mean certainly if there's somebody there that could fit it, it would definitely. I think it's a bigger need than running back, and I think it's a more important position for this team. So let's see. So remember, we're looking for speed receivers. So Jordy Nelson kind of starts it off, and his biggest negative is speed. So I'm not thinking he's going to be a very good fit. If I scroll down, that's a tight end. We're going to skip those. We have Eddie Royal, NFL comparison, Lee Evans. Good explosiveness, good elusiveness. I mean, those are nice. He's a shifty receiver, but it's hard to know if that's going to translate into speed. He looks to be undersized. Probably going to be more of like an off-the-line receiver, a flanker, someone in the slot, something like that. Maybe. How many? We get to scout 4. I mean, we could put him on the list as a maybe. But he's certainly not going to satisfy our owner goal. No, Jordy Nelson would, but he's just not really a good fit. Donnie Avery, here we go. Speed, acceleration, big playability. NFL comparison, Steve Smith, nice. But, oh my god, look at those negatives. Hands, route running. I mean, aren't those like 2 of the most important things for a receiver? So this guy's like feast or famine with his skill set. And maybe we'll learn some more. I think we should put him on that list. We might learn some more. I'm skipping all of the tight ends. Dexter Jackson, NFL comparison, Devin Hester. So again, my first thought is always a special teams guy. You can see their return ability. He's got good speed. But I have no idea, is that going to translate to him being a receiver? But with that speed, I guess we should maybe take a look at him. He's going to be a little undersized, maybe as his height. But for now, we can throw him on there. So this guy, good hands, work ethic, football IQ, but he's got bad speed. Let's give him Harry Douglas, NFL comparison, Isaac Bruce, explosiveness, speed, hands. There we go. Learning, size, release, but I'll probably work with that. He seems pretty athletic. So I would put, if I add him now, it's going to freak out and ask me to advance. So, but Harry Douglas looks to be a good fit. Size, potential. break tackle. Marty Booker was a pretty slow receiver though, so say no to that. Catching traffic. Donald Driver, he's got negative speed though. Andre Caldwell, speed, spectacular catch, and route running. That's pretty damn good. So I think we need to like maybe take someone off this list because I like these other guys that we just looked at. And I'm thinking I'm going to take off Dexter Jackson because he's a return guy who's fast, but I worry about that height. I don't want a super short receiver running around, so let's take Dexter Jackson off. We're going to add Caldwell. Oops. And we still have Harry Douglas to add, but I'll add him last. Let's see, I think we looked at him. He's the Donald Driver. So here's an Anquan Bolden comparison. Size-speed ratio. But that just might mean he's fast for his size. It doesn't necessarily mean he's fast. And Anquan Bolden was never really a fast receiver. So we'll skip him. That's a tight end. That's a tight end. Brett Swan. He's got good size, good upside. I mean, I would like to scout this guy, but there's too many other guys that I like above him who are rated higher. Last one, speed, elusiveness, experience. He's got kind of crummy character though. And he's the lowest rated. So I think these are the guys I'd go with. Andre Caldwell, Donnie Avery, Eddie Royal. These are guys that are, we don't even have a second and third round pick, so I don't even know if we can get to see these guys. I think Caldwell we could get later. But you never know who might fall. We will have an early pick in the fourth. So maybe one of those guys are going to fall. Caldwell will definitely be there, I would think. And then the last one was Harry Douglas. So, alright, let's see what we got in these guys. So here's Eddie Royal. And all they're going to show us here is just the Senior Bowl scouting. So he's got nice hands, 82. Very elusive, 96. Juke move, 93. Spin move, 92. So he is very, very shifty. That's good to see. Donnie Avery, good hands, even better elusiveness at 99. My goodness. Juke and spin move of 90. So those guys look pretty good. Wait, did their ratings change though? So he's a 71. I can't remember what they were, but again, that thing drastically changed. So those were two, and we have Harry Douglas, again, good catching, very good elusiveness, spin moves, and he's actually got some of the better ratings. He's got better awareness, and he's also got the spectacular catch of an 89. So Harry, and he's in a range where we could probably draft him with a lower pick. So Harry Douglas looks promising. Andre Caldwell, not as good at hands. He's kind of a step down from everyone, it seems. He's got decent, spectacular catch. He's an all-around. He's a good, depth guy. Build out your receiving core. Is that it? Yeah, that was it. So, there's some promising receivers, I'd say. All right. So we progressed about a day or so with a super, super long intro. I'm just checking the chat here. So, there's a bunch of stuff here. Tons and tons of questions. Let me see. Yeah, Colt Brennan, he did. Yeah, I remember he was with Hawaii, right? Yeah, he was tons of records, but that was that offense that just was putting up tons of passing yardage. Yeah, considered one of the more prolific for sure. Colt Brennan was. And Daniel says, do you play the games or does it simulate them? Both. So you play the games, but you don't control anything. So like it's it's like a coach mode, right? But it's really cool. And we'll obviously be streaming those at some point too. Scout running backs with a potential high speed and maybe a power back. Yeah, I avoided the power back. Sorry, I'm getting these kind of delayed, these messages. But the power back I kind of skipped because they're used so rarely for me. I mean, a handful of carries a game, like 4 or 5, and we have Michael Bush. And with us having such a small amount of draft picks, I just didn't think it was wise to be investing too much, especially when our our team building philosophy is speed backs. So if we could find a sleeper guy later in the draft, that's what I was kind of looking for. And we don't know a lot. We only have those guys 46% of the way unscouted. Do we have any owner goals we can satisfy scouting senior running backs? No, we don't. So we could do whatever we want with that. Wide receiver is a goal, yeah. So this is a big thing. But again, there's free agency too, and there's also trading. And I'm so sorry, I'm seeing these comments after I've moved past it. Keep Dexter Jackson if Devin Hester is this comparison. He has to be super fast. It's true, but like, I still prefer to get a good receiver. You can find return guys, and I understand Devin Hester is like probably the greatest return man in history. But like, we know that without scouting that player. You know what I mean? Like, if we want to take him in the later rounds and we see him sitting there, then we should grab him because he could be a return guy. But like, he's not going to be a guy we pick in like the first round or second round to come in and be like our wide receiver one. And so I didn't really want to waste a scouting on him. It is true. Yeah, a lot of the faster guys are shorter. But again, for a receiver, I don't want just all speed. Even though that's our team makeup, I still want you to be a decent sized target for a quarterback because that does matter in this game. So let's see. Is the production rating based on collegiate statistics or expected NFL? It's college stats for the rookies, NFL stats for the players. Yep. So we're going to continue this, but I'm going to wrap up this first episode. We did a lot of chat in the beginning, so we didn't get super far this time, but that's okay because I want this one to be slower. I plan to stream all of this, so like I'm not going to play ahead or anything like this. Like you guys will see all of this, and I don't know when. I haven't set a schedule for this yet, but I mean it might even just be tomorrow at some point because I'm sorry, not tomorrow. The draft's on tomorrow, but maybe what is tomorrow? Thursday. I'm thinking maybe like Saturday morning or something like that. It's probably the next time I'll stream this, and what we'll do is we'll go through the rest of these senior scoutings. And we'll start free agency and perhaps even get through free agency because we won't need to do this big long intro this time. There's a lot to show you guys in the beginning of this, and I'm glad I took the time to do that because I think that showcased the game a lot and hopefully sold you guys on this. So I am going to wrap up episode 1 here. Again, we just got our feet wet so far with this team. We've just gotten through some of the senior scouting. We've gotten to know a little bit of the Raiders staff and who's on the roster and whatnot. I've seen some of the owner goals and whatnot. And just there's a lot of things to still get into. I mean, we haven't even really gotten anywhere in this game just yet. We've passed on franchising Asamuga, or however you say his name. So that's going to be a big challenge. So we have a lot of things to kind of think about here as we move forward. But let's meet Saturday morning, and I'm Pacific time, so let's keep that in mind. But I'm thinking sometime on Saturday. I won't know the exact time, but maybe I'll try to give like an hour notice on Twitter or something like that. So follow me on Twitter if you want those updates. MikeLow47 is my name on Twitter. And definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel too, because that will should ping you when the streams go live. So I am planning, again, Saturday morning at some time, maybe late morning or something like that, or I guess for me, maybe early morning. But we'll see how it goes. But sometime on Saturday, I want to try to work around the NFL draft a little bit because I will want to watch that. But maybe we can kind of do a dual screen. And there's the potential maybe we'll stream during the draft, but I don't know. I don't want to for sure commit to that. But I do think it'd be maybe fun to have some draft chat and things like that. So, but anyway, thanks for watching. Again, you can find out more about all the stuff we're doing at Sim Sports Gaming just by going to the website simsportsgaming.com. We have openings in various different leagues if you're interested. So, and if you have franchises that you want to share, people love reading this stuff. The website's set up in a way that you can go on and write your own dynasty reports, and you can post videos and pictures of things and all kinds of different stuff you can do there. So if you have trouble figuring that out, there's information on the homepage of the site that can walk you through that. So anyway, we're going to reconvene though Saturday. So thanks for watching, everyone. Let me check the chat one last time. See if there are any questions. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it doesn't seem like we got a lot done. I appreciate you guys saying such nice things in the chat there. I feel guilty because I'm like, gosh, we barely got anything done, but we really, really took our time to set the foundation for this as opposed to just jumping in. And again, that's what I talked about in the beginning. I wanted to do that on this stream because some of the other streams I saw, they were good. I've watched some other head coach streams. They were cool. They're super interesting. But they just didn't get into like the kind of the depth and the slow pace that I want to do with this, because I want this to be kind of like a community building, team building kind of thing, referring to the Raiders, of course, just kind of building this thing out together. So that's what we did, and that's what we're going to continue to do. So again, thanks everyone. I will see you sometime on Saturday morning. Follow me on Twitter to get that info, and subscribe to the channel here, and it should ping you. And I'll see you then.